recording right now. So, welcome everybody. Welcome to the GoldFish Report. I'm your host, Louisa. Today is Thursday, January 2nd, 2020. I have to get used to saying that. Today we're doing a special report. We're doing a special report down under with our friend Tim EMslie, YouTuber Tim EMslie, who is down in Australia right now. And he is he is in January. It's already January 3rd there, about 2 hours, 2.5 hours into January 3rd. And Tim, I'm really glad to have you come back to the GoldFish Report. We're going to talk about what's going on down in Australia. And I felt it was very important that we do a report, especially a live report, because mainstream media is not reporting on what's really happening. They're not reporting accurately on what's happening down in Australia. And we want to bring it to you firsthand because I think it's a tragedy. It's absolutely heartbreaking what's happening to the animals, what's happening to the people, to the land. Just seems to be a lot of chaos, Tim. So welcome back to the GoldFish Report. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you again. Yeah, it's really bizarre circumstances unfolding right now. It's almost hard to fathom the reality of it. Like there's people that are there on the front line of what is occurring, and I mean, I'm simply one that's not there where it's all happening exactly, and just receiving the feedback. It's heartbreaking. It's quite disturbing, and just the information we've been getting in the last 12 hours or 6 hours. This media entourage of saying the worst is yet to come, and it's hard to bear the reality of, because we say that the media carries the narrative, and yet when there's a threat of a natural disaster unfolding, it's like you need the media, because and it seems to be that people who are experiencing it are being heard by people in the media. They are reporting a lot of the truth, and it's quite interesting. There's been verbal attacks on our Prime Minister. This isn't good for him. But in Cobargo, which is a town that I have been in numerous times in the past with work, even back in 2015, there's a little tram cafe in there, and I saw it on the TV screen and went, oh my God, that's where I used to get my coffees, and it's burnt. And, two guys in that very same area were found dead in their house. And, and this is a town that I'm familiar with, that I haven't frequented in the last recent couple of years, but it's like really, really hard to see on the TV screen, because I don't watch TV, but because there's something this big happening at such a huge level, it seems to be positioning itself, almost seems to be to the state of possibly one of the biggest events since World War II, in its impact on a whole collective of all people on the continent of Australia. It's frightening. It's very frightening. I read this article just this evening, about 4 hours ago, and the Premier of Victoria, he used terminology. I think it was emergency disaster zones, and this is preliminary, so it's not post. It's a pretense.
Okay, so we're seeing reports, in you're posting on your station there, on your YouTube channel. I'm sorry, on your Facebook page. You're posting that there's lots of different reports coming out about the fires. There's so many photos of poor little koala. They're saying that they're going to become endangered as a result of these fires because so many are being burned. They're all being burned to death, folks. I'm surprised that we're not seeing, the United States government step in and offer help. This is really a tragic, situation. It seems to be worse, as Tim is saying. Tim, you want to explain to me what you were saying, what they're predicting now, in terms of like these lightning storms or something, like they know this in advance? Or, do you feel that this is
Uh,
directed energy weapons? What do you think's happening?
yeah, so today is the 3rd of January.
Mhm.
For certain areas, the weather experts are predicting a lot of lightning, a lot of dry lightning.
Mhm.
Um, it's assumed and expected that this dry lightning will ignite fires. Um, so they're predicting based on that there's going to be um, fires starting everywhere. The temperature is going to be in the 40s, which is over 110 Fahrenheit, maybe
Mhm.
112 Fahrenheit or something. And I'm not certain, but there will probably be winds with that, because when the temp goes up that high, it draws in air from other parts of the localized area of the planet
Mhm.
to compensate for that hot area over the continent. And so, it's displacement. So it does drag the air in, and then the winds come in.
Mhm.
The winds follow. Um, as far as I understand, they're treating this as a natural phenomena,
Mhm.
but there's so many complexities in it, and I do believe that this is my theory, my own personal theory,
Mhm.
without going as far as saying energy weapons where they're lasers or something. I mean, that may be possible, but what it seems to be to me is the deliberate drying out of Australia by stopping the rain. Then there was some political decisions made about 20 years ago where they used to do backburning during the winter and the autumn when it was cool.
I see.
They used to light little fires and burn the stuff on the ground. So there's the fuel load on the ground that politics got involved in and said, we're not going to do those burns, and they stopped it. And there was the tradition of doing that went right back to ancient knowledge from the Aboriginal people. So it's to say that they were doing that
Mhm.
for thousands of years, because Australia has a sort of the way Australia functions. Some plants will only sprout their seeds. The flowers will burst open only when they've been heated up by fire. So some species need fire to germinate. So it's a part of the cycle. It's an
Mhm.
ancient cycle. It maybe the Aboriginals, when they came in, say 120,000 years ago, whenever it was, and they came in, maybe they started burning the place. Maybe they changed it, and it's been changing, and there's been all sorts of climate changes, events over such a long time, um, a cyclical thing over millennia. That is probably natural,
Mhm.
and the same with the turnover of species dying off and others coming in and so on is probably one part of that cycle too in the bigger picture of things.
Mhm.
But getting back to the drying out the continent, this is what I think is going on. I don't know who's behind it and
Mhm.
how that connects with all the Chinese activity of buying up land and stuff, and whether it's them or whether it's the HARP system. Is it the CIA? Is it someone in America? What foreign national? Who
Mhm.
is it? Many different groups. Who's doing what? Who has that claim? Who is the hidden hand? So what it looks like: dry the place out, stop the rain coming in, and then when it does light up naturally, or you
Mhm.
can enhance it by. I'm thinking, and a few of us have been discussing this now. We're thinking that it's possible that is it possible, and I'm asking this as a question and statement as well.
Okay.
Is it possible that the lightning is enhanced, energized, amplified, and weaponized to some level? So if there's natural lightning storms around,
Mhm.
you simply bring that up and enhance it and just turn the volume up. So there's nature, but then there's someone tweaking the volume, and and
Yeah.
and causing that.
Let me just screen share. I'm going to screen share. I don't know if you can see it, Tim, but I'm screen sharing a post that you posted yesterday of the fire, of the smoke, and there's an eerie, alien looking, actually a very sinister looking, you know, uh, appearance to the smoke. It looks like there's, one of those miters, the real nasty ETs that are indifferent to human life. And it looks like, I don't know if that was, a coincidence, or if that's CGI, or if somebody did a Photoshop on that. But you can see it when Hurricane Katrina was approaching. The radar did show the skull. I mean, it was, not a coincidence. We do have technology to do weather manipulation. There's patents on it, and why wouldn't the globalists use it to, to steer an agenda that would be ordinarily unpopular, or completely, in disagreement with people. We've seen this in California when they wanted to, put this highway system, this new railway system in, and suddenly all these homes along this proposed path started burning up. It's not a coincidence, folks. I can't, say definitively that I have, the documents where they had this plan. I'm not saying that I'm just saying that it's beyond a coincidence probably at this point. So I am reposting this. It says emergency secondary impacts of the fires are emerging. Cattle and sheep dead or alive and burnt. Some that are alive don't have any grass to eat. Roads are blocked, closed by authorities. No one, no one in, only out. Isolation. Dairy farms impacted, milk can't be picked up by trucks, fences are burned down, houses lost, power and phones out, food and water issues, human shock, emotion, loss of lifestyle, PTSD, bureaucracy and law conflicting with practicality, of course, a lack of generators to vital resources in area while snowy hydro power infrastructure is functional, but local power distribution is down. These are your comments here on this post from yesterday. Do you recall that post, Tim?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
And did you notice the eerie, resemblance? Do you think that's Photoshopped, that picture, that alien miter
Um,
looking ET?
I I found it quite inquisitive, and so I screenshotted it, and then
Yeah.
I put it in my photos, and then I played around with different light settings and stuff
Mhm.
to have a look at it. And when you draw out the dark and the light with the shadows,
Yeah.
you see that it looks like it actually is smoke. And like you said, coincidence.
Mhm.
It's like smoke. Often, like the clouds, you can always see faces, but I'm not discrediting
Yeah.
its reality. So what I'm
Mhm.
saying is,
Sure.
what we're seeing is smoke just doing its thing and a face appearing. But I do believe, like you can, if you look at a
Mhm.
picture of nature, you can see elementals everywhere. You can start to
Mhm.
see things. It's the geometry of, the
Yeah.
fractal universe that we exist in and how it appears. But I think there is something in that that I'm still processing that photo. I mean,
Yeah.
what's obvious is it's spreading around to be used because it does create
Yeah.
a real sense of it freaks people out. It is impacting, and
Yeah.
so I reached because wow, this is interesting. Um, yeah, I'm not completely 100% sure on that image, but
Mhm.
it looks like it is real.
Okay, there's
It looks
another
like it
one.
hasn't been played with.
Uh, There's another one, there's another, video that I'm going to screen share in a second, about, what's going on down there. I'm going to screen share this article, which I think you posted as well. I do have a lot of friends in Australia, and their news feed, their things that they post on their timeline comes into my news feed, so I do get to have a good, variety of stories from down there. This is saying an entire species are being wiped out. Ecologists say 500 million animals may have been killed by Australia wildfires. This is so sad. This is so heartbreaking. I just,
Mm.
this is horrible. These animals don't have a chance. They can't run from anything. Where are they going to go when everything else is on fire? I just think this has been going on now. How long, Tim? How long has this really been uh, at an alarming rate? It's been quite a while now.
The fire, some of the fires that are still going started in September, so they've been going for 3 months, and we're already, I think, 3 times or 4 times larger than the Amazon fires. And what's really interesting with that is we remember how impacting in the media and even in the alternative media the Amazon fires were, and how that really was upsetting people on such a deep level in so many different ways. People were in distress. And then to find out that Australia has had 3 to 4 times or even more, I can't remember that. I need to see I can't think of the actual statistical facts or whatever you want to call it.
Well, I have some pulled up right here.
Okay.
Not regarding Brazil, but regarding Australia. I mean, what they're saying is the News Corp, not to interrupt you, but I just want, since you mentioned it, I'll just read it to you. It says that that the News Corp Australia reported that there are real concerns. Entire species of plants and animals have been wiped out by bushfires following revelations. Almost 500 million animals have died since the crisis began. It seems like we should have stepped up and done something long before now. However, ecologists from the University of Sydney now estimate 480 million mammals, birds, and reptiles have been lost since September, according to News Corp. That's just astonishing, Tim. That is so heartbreaking that I think that everybody should really, really be like, sending buckets of water down there, every single person on this planet.
Yeah, see, what hasn't been realised is the fires have been so more destructive than they were in previous times. So we're only just beginning to fathom and understand that there's been a change, which may have been by deliberation, by increased drought and fuel load. But say 20 years ago, the fires were going when they're in a remote area and they're not threatening infrastructure like that humans have built things, houses, businesses, whatever. When it's in the middle of nowhere, because everything is at a cost to the resources of governmental agencies and so on. When it's in the middle of nowhere, you just let it do its thing. And everyone is preconditioned that that's okay, because even the indigenous peoples back in their time were lighting up the scrub, and that's normal. So fires in the bush are normal.
Right, exactly. But I mean, Tim was, our co-host Steve, our friend Steve, was recently down there, and he just said, he felt like he had bush lung. He was breathing it in, like it's everywhere. It's like it's much more severe. Yeah,
he's been away too long, and he needed that to catch up with the. No, no, I didn't mean that, but yeah. See, what's happening this time is the fires are hotter.
Yeah.
There's more fuel, and then the flames are higher, and they're getting up into the top of the trees, whereas in the earlier times, it would burn underneath and leave a lot of the stuff on top untouched. So it would burn through without burning up, and like now it's just completely burning everything.
Well, we're showing, as you're talking, I'm sharing a video by RT of a family who are just hunkered in their boats. Like, they told everybody to go to the water. Is that correct? In this one area?
Yeah, I haven't seen this one, so you're showing me one that I haven't viewed yet. But everyone was told to go down to the water. I heard stories of life jackets being given out, maybe. But yeah, people had to get in the water or get on a boat, and even some vehicles that could drive into some, there's vehicles sitting in the water. But yeah, it was 4,000 people
And has that
Um,
has that threat passed, or are they what are they still, what's the update?
um, it's unclear. I think the fire that came to some of those beaches
Mm-hmm.
burnt until it burnt out, and then they went back, and if they had a car
Mm-hmm.
or their belongings, some of them were staying in tents because a lot of people go camping and staying in caravan parks, and they set up their tents,
Mm-hmm.
and caravan tents, their trailer tents, and so on. And other
Yeah.
people were in accommodation. So there's all these houses have been burnt.
Right. You can see people here in
There's
their
lost
campers.
assets.
Sorry to interrupt you, Tim. You can see
Yep.
people there in the video in their campers. They have their dogs with them. They have like a tote box of, I guess whatever personal belongings they can, collect before they leave. And it's always a good reminder, folks, that we always need to have those important documents in a safe place so that you can, in an easy to carry location, in your house, so that God
Yeah.
forbid you have 10 minutes to leave. You can get the most important documents that you need with you. But yeah, so I was screen sharing because, like I said, Tim, I've been coming across a lot of these reports in on Facebook and social media, and I'm
Yep.
I'm doing everything I can to report
Mm.
on what's happening down there. And I'm also going to screen share another image that might be helpful to people, which is I'm not able to enlarge it, sorry, but it's showing a map here of
Yep.
all. I mean, this is unbelievable. This the number of fires. I mean, I don't know if you could see it, Tim, but there's
Mm.
massive amounts of fires along the coast. Why is it always only along the coast though, where people live? The
Along
concentration.
the
Yeah.
Yeah, along the coast from on the eastern seaboard from top
Yeah.
to bottom, that's a great dividing range. So think of the Rocky Mountains from Canada going all the way down
Hmm.
through the US or whatever. So from Cape York, which is just below New Guinea in the Queensland, that
Hmm.
pointy bit on the eastern side,
Okay.
all the way down to Tasmania, that's all mountain range. It's called the Great Dividing Range, and it's
Hmm.
um, full of mountainous ranges with windy roads that go up and down,
Uh-huh.
up to 2,000 meters in
Right.
some areas. And it's just
Hmm.
thick bush. In some places, you would need a machete to hack your way through. It's
Yeah.
really, really thick.
Yeah.
Um, Getting back to the people on the beach, what my understanding of what's happening now is in some areas there's no longer a threat of fire directly, so they don't need to be on the beach. So there's people on the ground who are spokespersons who are sort of trying to tell people what they need to do next, and the media have come in helicopters and landed, and they're all there reporting because it's such a huge, amazing thing. Um, Now, at about midday or something yesterday, because I'm in the third, so on the
Hmm.
second, these posts started coming through that were quite I think they were official.
Hmm.
Um, they didn't properly fact check yet, but they're saying that all of the people that were there on the beach either they're getting evacuated by a navy ship and there's another navy ship coming with supplies. The fuel stations are running out of fuel,
Hmm.
and yet they've actually told everyone there's a 250-kilometre long coastline, which is
Hmm.
probably the equivalent of 170 miles or something like that, 180 miles or so
Hmm.
of coastline
Hmm.
that is to be completely evacuated, and they've said you better go now. And so
Hmm.
all these people are trying to get out, and so there's this convoy of people trying to leave, and yet they're they're having to get fuel, and the fuel's going to run out.
Hmm.
So that plan from the government saying everyone leave isn't going to be completely effective because there's not enough fuel. The fuel supply is diminishing, and they can't get trucks in yet. They can't get in anywhere because there's fires all around, so they
I'm screen
can't bring
sharing.
fuel trucks in.
Hmm.
So they
So sorry, Tim. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm just letting you know I'm screen sharing
That
more
it's happening
video
there are going to be
and
threatened again.
images. sorry, I'm
Yep.
screen sharing more images while you're talking, so you can continue
Yep.
talking. But it's showing like this melting of, you know, this one, the phone booth. Look at that phone booth, like right there.
Yeah, that's a Telstra phone booth.
Yeah, and
Um,
mhm,
Yeah, it's funny. Like in some places, it's gone through and destroyed things, and then left a
mhm,
push bike um, sign, and then everything else is burnt around it. And
right.
again, we have the cars that are melted into the road. Um,
Mhm,
the other thing that is happening now, I don't know why, but she's familiar. I feel like I don't know why, but I feel like I know her.
mhm,
Wonder what her history is. Um,
mhm,
maybe,
mhm,
maybe she looks so familiar as if I went to school with her 20 years ago or 30 years ago or
mhm. I'll
something.
send you the link, and
Um,
you can listen to it. Yeah.
yep,
Mm, that's someone's yard. This is really heartbreaking. And of course, the next video that I'm going to be sharing, and you can keep talking. I'm just going to share.
yeah.
This is some of the things that I've been reporting on here. At least I've been posting on our Facebook news page, are all the stories of what's happening. Koalas are near total extinction due to Australia bushfires. Wildfire expert warns, and there's heartbreaking pictures of pandas that are burned, that have burns all over them, that are bandaged up, and I mean, look at this little one's ear. I'm
Well,
going
you
to
said
cry my eyes out.
panda, but yeah, koala.
I'm sorry,
Sorry.
koala.
Yeah,
That's what I meant
koalas.
to say, koala. Look at this poor little koala baby. He's all burned up. I mean, this should really, really, really outrage people. This should really, really make people motivated to go and help. What's taking the world so long to go and help put some of these fires out? Obviously, Tim, it is out of control. There's far too
Well,
many fires. You know, as you've been saying, that some of these fires are normal, but this isn't normal.
well, it's been revealed today through another article that the Russians who have, they always have the best gear. The Russians have these huge um, bombers, water bombers,
Yeah.
that are exceptional for the rest of the world. And they approached the Australian government back in 10 years ago in 2009 and
Hmm.
offered them, and Australia rejected them because of political reasons, of association, being in alliance with the British Empire and all that, and America
Hmm.
and the issues between America and Russia, or the supposed ones, going right back to with the Soviet era, that was still in the same context. Australia couldn't accept help from Russia because that would upset America or the British or Israel, or others, which is quite interesting. Um, but yeah, the people that are in there too, I must say that there's no power. Their ATM cards aren't using. A lot of people don't have cash on them, so now they're shoplifting. Um, that doesn't make them bad people, but that's showing how bad this is. That
Yeah.
if people are starting to go into a shop and then grab something and then nick out the door and not pay for it and then run away quickly,
Hmm.
that's showing the desperation, and that's showing the situation. These poor people are resorting to
Hmm.
stealing food. That's a clear sign that this is out of control, and like it's like the government's asleep at the wheel, because
Right.
they get on the TV and they stand there, and one person says, "Oh, we're going to have to put in an inquiry,"
Hmm.
and then this other political person says, if that's the right word, "We
Hmm.
can't do that." The bureaucracy of doing that procedure to come to a conclusion to then activate into knowing how to coordinate and take action, that process takes like something like 6 months. Something needs to happen instantaneously, right here, right now.
Right. Just so you know, we're
So
having
the whole
clicking.
idea of
Tim,
people's
we're having
minds are just
clicking.
so closed in. Yep.
My friend, there's clicking on the microphone. I'm not sure if you are inadvertently tapping it, but you can hear the
Oh,
clicking, and I'm not sure if it's on your end, but I'm just letting you know in case it is on your end.
I did
Um,
click my fingers once.
No, my friend. I think it's like banging up against the microphone cord or something. Like something might be tapping it. It stopped now, but
Oh,
yeah, it stopped
hang
now.
on.
But this is stopthecrime.net, and they're saying that they feel that that this is war and that fires are being intentionally started, that we're being intentionally burned up. This is according to stopthecrime.net. And I'm screen sharing that for people as well. So I can tell you there's lots of reporting that we're doing. I can't tell you how much I've posted on this. And it breaks my heart to see these poor animals who, are being burned to death. And I mean, more so, I don't know why it just seems to break my heart more than seeing these things happen to people, because I think people have some self-efficacy. They can try to, get out and do things and have a little bit more of an ability um, than animals do. And then here's not to say that I don't have compassion for people, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be doing GoldFish Report. But I
Yep.
do. I do. But here's another picture of a family. I mean, literally. Okay, we have them blocking me with an ad. Let's see if I can get past that.
What do you say?
I know it's just stupid that they
Yeah,
do
they're
this.
sort of wading in the water under a
Yeah,
pier.
exactly. And
Yep.
mhm, exactly. So it just
So,
seems like, yeah, I'm sorry, folks, but the
well,
Telegraph is not letting us see that without
it,
an advertisement. Yeah, that's right. They're waiting under the
when the
wire. Go
yep,
ahead.
when the Aboriginals burnt the bush uh, to get food to run out so they could eat it, they didn't do it when it was 46 degrees, because that's catastrophic, right? And that's what's
Sure,
happening now.
sure.
They did it
Good
when
point.
it was 20 something degrees, and so the sunlight and different humidity, and so it's burnt very, very slowly. Every creature, unless they're a caterpillar or something,
Hmm.
had tons of time to walk away, because they're burning very, very slowly, and there might not be wind or anything. So I'm not saying it was like that all the time, but generally speaking,
Hmm.
um, but, but now you have these very, very hot days, and I'm not saying
Hmm.
that that's natural and it's not natural, because it could be part of a bigger cyclical nature
Hmm.
for us to go into hotter areas. It could be going into the hot just before an ice age, but this may have happened before. But these very, very hot days, that with the strong winds, you cannot outrun the fire physically. Um,
Yeah.
some of these fires that came through on New Year's Eve, I watched them through the fiery apps, for the different states. There's apps, and watched them as they showed where it was. And the fire was, moving with 60 kilometre an hour or 80 kilometre an hour gusts of wind. So the fire's fanning on a 45-degree angle, and then it's jumping in front of itself and lighting it up. And so the dynamic of the fire, it was like running across the ground and jumping ahead of itself, like leapfrogging ahead of itself at such a rapid rate. And the path of that might be 10 kilometres wide. It might start out in one point, and then it slowly goes out in a big, long wedge shape, but it's very elongated. And so in a 12-hour period, um, that fire may have travelled 30 miles. I'm saying that because you guys work in that system, or 70 kilometres or something,
Right.
in 12 hours. And at the beginning, it was only 10 metres across, and then by the time it gets there, it's 10 kilometres in width,
Hmm.
but it's 70 kilometres long, and it's just this big long streak. And then the wind changes, and so everything's still burning along those long sides.
Hmm.
And the wind changes and goes 90 degrees the other way. Suddenly, then you have a fire front that's 70 kilometres in length, moving towards stuff.
Hmm.
But when those elongated channeled fires that has come through in this big long straight line, they move very, very quickly, and they're going in front of themselves. And if a town is in front of it, like a small community, and there's trees one side, and 300 meters past is the beginning of the rest of the trees, because it's built in the, they've cleared the forest to build the town over the last 100 years or whatever it is, 150 years, whatever. Well, those embers and that go across, and so the people in the houses, there's this fire screaming down at them, and then it's going over them and past them and around them and at them, and they're trying to look after their houses, and then they may be successful, and but then there's a fire came and went past them, and so the fire's all around them, and then it just keeps going and it keeps channeling, and then the temperature drops, and then the wind changes, and then the fire calms down, and it goes from being an angry beast to quite a gentle thing that's not doing much. But then, see, these fires that hit New Year's Eve, a lot of them went through a heap of farmland, through so many people's properties of sheep and cattle and whatever, vineyards and everything, and then it made itself into national parks, at Kosciuszko National Park, which has the highest mountain in Australia. And in there, it's just thick bush, and it's, national parks. They just, they leave it unless they think it's, and now it's threatening Thredbo Ski Resort. All our ski resorts are under threat right now. There's emergency alerts and everything for them. So Thredbo Village, probably, I haven't seen for Perisher yet, but that's another popular ski resort. People come in from the Canberra side. And then you've got Falls Creek, you've got Mount Hotham, you've got Mount Buller. Every known ski resort that operates in the winter for snow skiing between Melbourne and Sydney, all up in that Great Dividing Range, all of those different resorts are all currently threatened at the moment and could be destroyed. And that means when people want to go skiing in the middle of winter, they may not be able to if the chairlifts and everything are, all burnt and all the accommodation. It's a very expensive place, as you know, those places. A lot of millionaires run and operate those places. It's a really expensive real estate.
Well, Tim, let me ask you, how about this on a personal level? What's going on there? Like, how is this affecting you personally? And do you, I know you mentioned that they're requesting certain areas to be in a very highly dangerous zone. Your family is in one of them. How is this on a, personal level affecting you?
I'm trying to deal with the reality, because when you read from an official governmental body that they're declaring it to be the highest level of life-threatening emergency potential, you're wondering what's coming, and is it just to make everyone ready? Will it happen? Will we get lucky and it won't happen? There's so many questions, but when you read the density of what they're warning us, it's really hard to take in, and also to fathom the reality of it, because you're in the shit when it's happening, but when you're being told that in about 12 hours time or something, it's possible that if lightning strikes and it is 43 or 46 degrees and the wind gusts come in at 60 or 80 or 100 k's an hour, then we can't help you. You're all on your own. Get in your cars and use your common sense and save your lives. We don't have Batman, Superman, we don't have any special powers out there that can simply come in and do things. We're on our own. Our fire system, we have the Metropolitan Fire Brigades, which look after the township infrastructure and the city infrastructure, like you would know with New York. going back to 9/11. All the fire trucks, come out and
Sure.
for the city. But when you get out in the agricultural and rural farming communities, it's all resources. They have a fire shed, they have fire trucks in there, and then all the community people act as volunteers, where they, do it off their own back. They're not paid. It's all volunteer work, and but the resources are granted by the governmental bodies,
Right.
and they're out fighting them. But then when it comes to this level of catastrophic, it's starting to be realised, I think, that we really don't have a genuine, true, leading edge strategy to deal with this. And it's almost like, when someone like Elon Musk comes along and has this brainstorm and says, I've got this idea to renovate and, what's that word? Bring firefighting up to this new level. It's getting to the point where people are going to have to think of, is there a better way? Are the galactics out there, can they come down in their spaceships and use their high tech and do something? What I'm saying? It's
I know.
just
It's frustrating
yeah.
because what about the people? Usually in circumstances like this, sometimes you have people who end up pulling together. It's like you were saying about something else this morning, which I don't want to get into unless you want to talk about it, but and we don't have to. It's just that, there's some people who do naturally have, I think when a crisis hits, people don't need direction. They know what to do. It's almost like instinctively in our DNA, and we know how to organize and pull together. And if the governments can't get off their tuchus and get things done because of bureaucracy, we don't, and it goes to show you that that's not really, it's maybe a needed function on a lower scale, but when you have a catastrophe like this, when it's beyond the ability of the governments really to manage themselves, then you really realize that the people do know how to pull together. Is this why it's happening? Are they deliberately doing these things to pull the world together so the world can come together? There's certainly an argument for that, but
I would have thought that if there's a sinister force behind this that's dark and negative, they're doing it to their own corporate end, like Agenda 21 and or possibly Chinese corporations that want to push everyone out into the cities and then take over all the farming infrastructure or something. But to say that if there's a benefit to this, where Australians are very pacified, we're so brainwashed and vaccinated and everything else, just throwing that in there, like brainwashed and vaccinated,
right.
That no one really, you see in Europe, you see these people getting together and then standing up and protesting. Australians don't really do that. And when it does happen, it's just teenagers. And sometimes what they're doing, it's sort of complexity, like the whole Greta thing. But, but yeah, people won't do anything. It's like everyone's trained to say the government decides for me. The government knows best. I'll listen to the government. I'll do what the government wants. I'll be the good citizen and just do that. I don't need to think for myself in terms of the government has my best interest and they're looking after me. And so it's more a belief system that the government is really, really good, and the whole system, like you're a little kid that's born in the system. You say, "Daddy, what's this?" That's a fire truck. What's that? That's a policeman. And what's that? Well, that person's running the country. And then so a little kid sees TV and goes, "This is pretty complex and organised. They got this stuff sorted out. There's, people aren't running around in caves, like in ancient times or whatever." So we get this preconceived notion that the government is always taking care of our best interests. Well, if that was so, then they wouldn't allow corporations to put so much sugary food in the supermarkets. And why would the supermarket?
Tim, are you still there? We're having some issues with the audio, but again, we're going live.
So again.
Oh, you sound much better there. I don't know
Oh.
what just happened, but we're having interference in our audio. There's nothing I can do, but please go ahead. It sounds better now.
Yeah, that was the car dropping out. But if you think it's better than having the car on, I can.
Phone's natural audio. Would you prefer that?
The other way was better. Either
The other
way,
way that it went to.
yeah, whatever.
Is this okay? I'll go back to the other way.
The other way was good.
Okay, I'll go back to that.
Okay.
I'll go back to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we won't hear the clicking as much. So on a personal note, are you concerned for your own safety at this point, or do you feel like it could get to that point?
Say that again, please.
Are you concerned for your own safety, or do you feel that do you feel that at some point it might get to that point? I know you said that perhaps your parents may be facing this risk.
My parents have their bags packed. We'll just monitor the situation and go from there. And it'll be a matter of looking out the window, checking your surroundings 360, looking at the horizons, looking everywhere, looking at the apps to see where the fires are starting and keeping informed through those fire management apps that keep you up to date, that are governmental agencies.
Okay.
Checking the lightning apps because we know if we're expecting lightning to trigger it, so we can follow the lightning trackers. So using the technology on our phones is a great key.
Okay, Sherry is saying it was better the other way. So for them, let's switch back, Tim. Sorry, is it possible to do that?
Yep. Right now, here we go.
And she said she loves you and she's praying for you guys down there. Sherry.
Who's that?
Sherry Ives. She's one of our.
Oh, Sherry. Yes.
Yeah, you know Sherry. I know you know Sherry.
Talk a lot.
Yes. So I'm bringing her up. I know Tim can't see the live chat, but I can. So I'm trying to give Tim, and I'm trying to give him some updates on the live chat here. So yeah, Sherry's here. Sherry's she's awesome. I love her. I'm glad you're here, Sherry. I love all of our viewers. I'm very grateful for all of you. I just want to get the word out. I thought this was so heartbreaking. And again, we're not hearing this degree, this kind of detail, really anything about even the animals, the wildlife, the ecosystem. We're not hearing about these stories of people who are packing up and leaving. We're not hearing about this. We're not hearing about this on the mainstream media. Yeah, Sherry, definitely. I will definitely be doing that. If Tim needs funds, we'll do that.
Yeah, I'll just show some people some apps.
Yeah.
If anyone in the States is, if they want to really follow exquisitely with detail and monitor this as if you were here, if anyone's interested in that, I don't know how many of you actually would. I wasn't doing that with the California fires, but there are some apps here.
Okay.
Like there's the New South Wales, I'll screenshot it and zoom in. No, well, hang on, this one here. New South Wales RFS. So,
okay. So we could follow
New South Wales RFS.
Okay. Yep. Okay, great.
So it's an app. It's an app, and it gives you all the fires in New South Wales on a map. Okay. And our news agencies are actually referring to it when they're doing it. So, and hang on, I'll just show you another one. And there's the Vic Emergency. Vic, VIC Emergency.
Okay.
App as well. And I'll just taking screenshots of this, and I'll show them to you in a minute.
Okay, and I'll also post them in the link here of this video. I'll put the links here in the description section, and also I'll post them on our Facebook and Twitter because I think it's important. We will pray for rain. Exactly, Sherry. We pray for rain. It's amazing how dehydrated it is down there. This is just unusually dry, though, isn't it? I mean, this isn't very common.
It is unusually dry. And we believe that that may not be natural. It may be natural in the long cycle of because there's evidence in the late 1800s that a similar thing was happening. But I think that there is some sort of HARP technology being used to stop the rain, and therefore
weather
also the
modification.
fuel loading on the ground. This is deliberation. So in a sense, you can't call it an attack.
Well, I mean, the weather, the heat, though, has been unbearable. I mean, it's been unusually high, 100.
Yes.
And, you know, what has it been? A 50 degrees Celsius there. You know, that's been averaging.
Yeah, there were a few days like that, record breaking. Can you see that there?
No, I can't see any screen share yet.
Oh.
I'm not sure you're going to be able to do it on your phone. Let me see. Wait, did you put it in Messenger? Let me see if you put it in Messenger.
Yeah, I can send it to you, and I can send them to you in Messenger. The other thing I should mention before I forget to is also yesterday, there was an article that said biggest peacetime evacuation of Australians underway. And when I read that headline, my gut just went into a knot. It was really impacting because it draws on that. That means that since the event of World War II, they're saying that this is the biggest evacuation undertaken by the Defence Force or whatever since World War II. So that says something. That's huge. That's the biggest thing in 60 or 70 years.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just sharing these now. So they're the apps.
Okay. Let me see if I can pull that up. Oh, I see.
So they're the apps. So if you look in the apps, you know, on Android or Apple, you can find those.
Okay, so here's one. NWSRFS, so that's one, folks. You can look for that if you wanted to follow the news on this as well. So that's good. Here's another one Tim sent, Vic Emergency. So these are apps that Tim's sharing with us so we can stay tuned in. Of course, we'll be BOM weather, lightning, so you can keep up with the lightning forecasts. In those conditions of such intense heat and dryness, you know, it's very much a recipe for disaster. And just seems that I mean, okay, the cause and the you know, the recipe, should we say, you know, all the ingredients that go into making this a disaster that it is one thing, but the mobilization of people to you know, to combat these fires. Clearly, there's not enough firemen in Australia to combat these fires. What is the overall plan? What are they trying to tell you? Are they trying to reassure you that any of these fires they're getting the upper hand with any of them? And if they're not, why aren't they calling out for international help?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. The Prime Minister has been caught with double standards in relation to you know, talking about the military or defence forces being involved. You know, people are very, very angry and upset that there should be a better system in place to deal with and manage what is unfolding. But I guess, in a sense, for our colonised civilization that has been here as far as white European, Australian, Western society since you know, they came out from England and Europe in the 200 so years ago. This is new territory. This is unprecedented. So maybe the collective consciousness of Australia is having to go through a learning curve here to recognise something. Because even back in 2009, there was an inquiry into why so many people lost their lives. I can't remember. I think it was 200 people died in those fires. they were in cars. There was just complete chaos. Like a whole town of people got wiped out.
Oh,
A
like
bit like
paradise, yeah.
Fukushima, like whole suburbs of families and generations gone. But yeah, there was a lot of complacency. The captain who was in charge of overlooking the whole fire situation, when the fires were at its worst thing, when she was asked by this inquiry team, what was she doing? She said, I went home and made myself a coffee. And they're saying, why weren't you manning the boat?
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, nobody could comprehend the true reality of what was truly happening. It was unfathomable. So it's always after the fact of the disaster that they see what happened, and then they learn from it and go, well, now we have an awareness. We couldn't have the awareness until we had the experience. And so unfortunately, it seems like in order to have the knowledge, we need to go through the disaster, because the disaster is actually the experiment of finding out how to deal with this next time. And they've already admitted in the media. Today I read an article that someone in the Defence Force, actually, their mouth slipped and they said, we're orchestrating this, and it's going to be a good experiment in seeing how we can manage this for the future. Now, that's not a bad thing, but at the same time, what experiment? So they're observing this situation as it's unfolding upon all of us, including themselves.
Sure, definitely.
As an experiment that they're also inclusive to, so that they can learn and grow from it, which is good. And at the same time, it's like, well, frig, we're a bloody, it's an experiment. It's a social experiment on what happens when you have tens of thousands of tourists camping and caravanning and going to the beach, the great Aussie surf beach situation, and, getting dirty, camping, getting away, having a break from the rigmarole of the 9 to 5 regimental working sort of situation, and then go and chill out over Christmas and New Year on the beach and just chill and relax. And then, oh no, we're trapped. All this forest is on fire and we're stuck here. What a great social experiment. Let's see how this unfolds. We're a first world nation.
Right. I just wanted to let you know, people in the chat are, sending prayers to you. They're praying for and everyone in Australia. We have a fellow Aussie down there, fellow truth seekers. A shout out to Tim from me and my wife, 2 fellow truth seekers from Sydney, Australia. Benjamin William Wine. He might be one of your followers too, but he's been down there. I mean, he's down in Sydney, so he's giving a shout out. We have people who are praying for rain. I'm not sure rain would be enough, but it would certainly be a great help. I definitely think we should do it. Pray for rain. I think
that can change everything.
We should organize. And, Shari, aren't you talking about this? You're talking about doing a moment of silence, but I think we should put together a global meditation for manifesting rain in Australia and ending this. There's suffering, folks. There's real suffering going on.
People have already been doing that. There have been people praying for rain and doing mass meditation.
Yeah.
There's different groups of them all over that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
There's some lady in Sydney that does it.
Yeah.
With an English accent. I can't think of the name.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a live stream. Let's see, it's going to be 6 a.m. Saturday morning, folks. It's going to be a live stream. It's going to be a dragon interview update. I think I'm going to ask everybody in the beginning of that to focus their intention at that moment on bringing rain. So it will be a live stream. So I want you guys to look out for that. It will be very early because, of course, we have people in all parts of the world who are joining us. We're going to have of course, Benjamin Fulford in Tokyo, and we're going to have the Red Dragon ambassador where he is. And so we have people in many different many different time zones. So I want to just bring that to everybody's attention so we can maybe focus our intention. Everybody can join us and focus, but who wants to get up at 6 a.m. besides me on a Saturday morning? But we're going to do it. Just know that we'll be live. So it's, just to look out for that. So hi, Elizabeth. How are you, dear? Yeah, let's do it, Sherry. I agree. I'm Z. Are you sleeping, Elizabeth? Louisa, I'm Z, she says. You must be sleeping. She wrote oops. She wrote oops. Okay, so I wanted to give you those messages and share out. Yeah, please create a bug out bag and put everything in one place. Be ready to grab it on a dime. Tim, I don't know what else we could do. Is there any other suggestions, or is there any information that you think we should get out to people or even to the governments about coming and helping? I mean, we're going to do everything we can do. We can meditate, we could pray, we could help get the word out, and that's about it. Which is good, but
there are some people running. Someone sent me a link on Messenger to someone who was doing disaster relief, and it was a page where people could offer, certain things like a buy, swap, and sell, but for people that needed stuff. And then there was also a donation, like financial donation thing there with that too. Depends, who knows who might be listening. There might be someone out there who's quite wealthy that watches and listens to you that feels compelled in their heart space to do something quite enormous. Maybe.
Right.
How many of them there are, but like people that can do things where it's not impacting their own lives, because a lot of us are all financially, tied. And,
exactly. And I mean, I don't want to discourage people from watching our live streams, but people can make super chat donations anytime they like for the cause. It will always go to where it's intended to go. When I do have guests on, the chats, it's only new. I've just started doing this though, so we're getting it started. But we are trying to start a new program to help support everybody's channel, because we do need the help, especially if you're doing it full time. I mean, I do this full time, so it's not like I really spend my time generating income from other places. So I do need to try. I do need to do that, or I have to stop doing this. And I really don't want to stop doing it. I've put so much time and effort into building GoldFish Report, and we've survived despite the fact that we've been our first channel was deleted, and that had millions of views. It had thousands, double the subscribers that I have now, and I had to rebuild. I had to start from scratch, and of course our blogs were deleted. Our blogs were deleted too, because we put out the truth, and that's a threat to the globalists today. But anyway, let's get back to the topic.
Well, I had an idea that just come to me, a bit of a flash.
Okay.
And I'll just put this out there for it to float out to for ears to be heard. Is, do you remember when all those boys in the cave in Thailand were trapped?
Yes.
And it got international attention. Now, this is now getting international attention. And then a follow-on effect from that was that Elon Musk got his team to work to come up with a think tank of ideas to work out a plan of attack to deal with that using SpaceX technology. So is there something that goes beyond the current traditional knowledge of fires that enters into the realm of higher technology that has not been released to the public yet, that is already pre-existent within other secret programs that could benefit firefighting teams, with new methods and applications? Can someone like Elon Musk come up with something here? And again, the power goes out, the fuel goes out. If the power goes out, Tesla cars, you can't charge them, you can't go anywhere. Power goes out, the mobile phone infrastructure towers get burnt out. There's a sign that there's better ways than that. So if you do have fires come through, that you don't lose all those vital things, because that's a huge thing to not have power and not have communications. It's a very isolating thing. So there's lots to think about in how we design the future of our civilization. And that, I mean, you know, just to rub a bit of hot coals on, you know, some people's sore feet, maybe, that if there truly were in existence space stations and colonies on places like the Moon and Mars, I'm sure the design of those buildings would account for all sorts of circumstances that would protect them from what has happened here. And so why can't these areas that come under threat have some sort of system that's set up there that can help protect everyone, and then we don't have this crisis that's unfolding right now, because we have a backup plan. We're prepared for it in advance because we're expecting its potential. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just something to think about there.
Right. I'll talk to Audrey about that, Sherry. There's another story here, Tim. Max Egan said this is a manufactured climate crisis in Australia. I don't agree with everything he always says, but I perhaps might agree with this. He says, Max Egan, drought by design, the genociding of Australia. Are you saying that this is possible because, I mean, this is a very, very nefarious hypothesis you're working with here, that the Chinese want the land and they're forcing people off of it through manufactured climate crisis here?
Yep. I believe that on some level that is happening. That's certainly true. I'm not sure how far that goes because I'm not that knowledgeable of it. But what I know is a lot of our milk companies have already been outbought by foreign Chinese corporate companies, which is unusual because, you know, you had a Navy ship from China come into Sydney Harbour without even radioing in for permission. They just sort of showed up unexpectedly, and then their guys got off and got baby powder because they don't trust baby powder from China, and now they're, you know,
right. Okay, we have, I don't know if audio just dropped out.
Yeah, is that back again?
Yeah, you're back in the
it's
other.
Coming back on again in a second. That's just the power going off automatically on my car every now and then.
Okay, no problem. There's an abundance of water. Agriculture is going to Australia. Yeah. Look, we have Oregon energy, right? So Oregon there's seed, they have the seed clouding technology. We have seed clouding technology so that we can create and attract water. This shouldn't be a problem, but you're right. But you're saying that because it's not being managed and taken care of properly, you think that this is possibly, you know, deliberate, very deliberate, to push people off their property and claim that land. Yeah, we'll see who builds on it.
Yeah, and I think there could be something there. Like, I wonder if the Chinese have or if this is indeed what's happening. And not to pick on, there's a lot of good Chinese in the world. And whoever these guys are in China, you know, whether it's connected to CIA or whatever, I don't know. But what I'm thinking is that, you know, if they're indeed doing this, it's to their own end so that they can come in and buy things up. And the insurance companies, there's already an article showing that a lot of the people who have lost houses, their insurance won't give them what they thought they will be getting back. So, you know, something's fishy with that. So we've got to look at insurance companies and who's behind them and who may have bought out those insurance companies, and try and connect the dots on the web and everything, and see what's going on there. Now, what was the other thing I was going to mention? Yeah, so if they can modify the weather and stop the rain in Australia, then they can do the opposite. They can, if they really wanted to be positive and work for the people, we the people, by the people, is to turn these weather modification weaponry systems into actually creating more rain when we need it, blah, 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 etc., and use it in the opposite effect. right, because right now it feels like, it feels like there's an attack against us. Feels like someone is against us. It's against us. It's just to move us out, and move people into a dependency on,
government.
living in a system where you have to move in and live like people in Hong Kong in high rises and go downstairs to go to the supermarket. Because a lot of people, they like their acreage. They like being out on these little hobby farms where they can have some eggs and have, grow some stuff and have that luxury,
Here's the answer. I'm screen sharing the answer to this right now. Here is a patent. It's a registered patent in the United States, method of cloud seeding. Description. This invention relates to a method of cloud seeding. It relates in particular to a method of cloud seeding for precipitation enhancement. Here's the answer, folks. We have the solution. We have the technology. And why aren't they doing it? They're withholding it for a certain reason. If they're not using it, then they're withholding it for a particular agenda. This is the answer right here, folks. What do you think, Tim? Can you see this patent?
Definitely. It makes me think that someone somewhere within a certain position of power within the Australian governmental authoritarian infrastructure somewhere must know what is happening and has done some dirty deal, which is pretty evil. And if that is actually if that turns out at some stage to become factual, that's going to be big. But to actually, if this is what is indeed happening, that a small number of people's selfish, greedy needs of taking money to let this happen at the expense of the many is a completely treasonous crime. If indeed this is what is involved in this, if it is a reality, because I'm open that that may not be true as well, and I don't want to, but.
Yeah, I'm actually tweeting and copying the president on this right now. I'm copying a Department of Defense. Because Department of Defense, we need to reach out. We're well aware of this patent. We're well aware of the technology that can help Australia right now. And a time for.
I'll have to go soon because I need to crash out. It's nearly 4 a.m. and I do have sort of a big. Tomorrow may be maybe about beginning to survive a potential fire threat, literally, personally. But it's unknown. It is completely unknown. But Saturday is going to be the worst, or starting Friday night. I don't know. But what was I going to say? See, I'm starting to.
Just tweeted it too. I just tweeted. I put it out. Yeah, I mean, we have patents for this. Is it? I mean, we have this technology, folks. There's no reason why we're not able to engage this technology and stop these fires. There's no reason for it. I'm going to keep this up here for a little while. Tim, thank you so much for being with us. I know it's like 4 a.m. where you are. It's already the 3rd. Happy New Year, my friend. I'm sorry that it's, we're talking about this kind of topic. Wish it would have been, something more prosperous, entering into our golden age. But it looks like, we still have a lot to deal with here. And, I appreciate you staying up late for this, Tim. And I hope you stay safe. We're going to, all of the viewers, we say our prayers, send our prayers and wishes for your safety and for your family as well.
Thank you. Yeah, there's so many areas where I've seen the, the agencies and different agencies and so on, with strict authoritarian messages of, if you're here, here, and here, leave now. It's like they've warned, they've told people to get out. They're taking this very, very seriously. they're concerned, I guess, at the higher level, they're also concerned of the mass loss of life. It's also going to look embarrassing in the international community if that was to occur. And so now I think there's a lot of pressure on those in high places as well to show that we as a nation are capable of dealing with the situation, because if it was to turn into a disaster and something like 10,000 people got trapped and then it was like this mass barbecue of human flesh in cars on all these roads of people trapped, like some scene of a tsunami coming in, whatever that movie is, when they're all running away and people in traffic jams and stuff. But in this case, fire, if it was to be such a terrible scenario like that unfolding, it would look absolutely horrific, and we don't want to have a situation like that where all the eyes of the world are in shock as well. We don't need to manifest a situation like that in order to go ahead. But tomorrow, or today rather, will be I'll be having to. I'm going to spend the whole day cross-checking these apps and being aware of my environment and seeing where these guys are starting and which way the wind's going, and working out where is safe and under what circumstances is it safe, because you need to be able to have a perception of what is safe and when and how, and under what dynamic is that safe. It depends on. There's so many factors to think about. So if every, how in parts of America where you have tornadoes, people have those holes in the ground where they go and jump in them and they're fine.
Right.
Back in the 1920s or something, so we're talking 100 years ago, all over Australia, because they used to have fires. See, I think we've lost a lot of the knowledge from our grandfathers and their fathers and so on. Yep. So we think we're in new territory, but some of it isn't. But it was quite frequent here in Australia to have these fire shelters, which were a dugout sort of hole, and then you build the dirt over it, like an igloo made of dirt and brick or cement or something. So a little bunker. And it's a fire bunker. And so when everything's turning to shit around you, and you're going to get cooked by the radiation because it's all around you and above you, and you're stuffed. You can't go anywhere. Your car's going to stall and melt, before you can drive off in it, and the radiator boil over or whatever. People would be able to run from the house property, and then 20 metres away was this thing. You go down the stairs, you close the door, which was fireproof, and then you sit it down in there. And then you breathe through towels or whatever for an hour or two. And then once the fire is gone, it's safe to come out. You came out. They used to have these a lot. I know they've had some. I've been inside one halfway up to one of the ski resorts. There's a school camp there, and they've actually built one. And in the last fires back in 2009, there was a company that was advertising for the sale of these things, but they're quite expensive to buy. But I mean, people put in pools and spas, so to be realistic, why do extraterrestrial civilizations all seem to live underground?
Yeah,
exactly. And so.
Well, this is it. And we are our brother's keeper, folks. We need to put pressure on our governments to step up to the plate and help. If this is a nefarious plan to move people off of their land in order to recuperate get the money back, that, if China's recuperating their money that they loaned to everybody, instead of giving them a debt jubilee, that would be pretty sad to learn. But then take note of it. Take note of it, folks, and stand up for yourself. We need to do that for each other. So I want to thank all our viewers for being here, and all of the people in the chat. Yeah, and we just screen shared, that here's the patent. everybody can click on that I just posted the patent link. So please post that, and please take this link, folks, and post it into your own Facebook page and circulate this patent and really get it out there. We know the technology exists. There's no reason for this to be happening. So Tim, thank you very much. There's just a catastrophic loss of life, people, animals, certainly little innocent animals being burned to death. This is unacceptable, folks. This is unacceptable. It's your planet. It's our home. This planet is our home. Is this how you want your home being treated? We need to stop. We have this technology, folks. We can create the rain. So, okay, Tim, thank you so much. Stay safe. Please keep us updated.
Yep.
Just post it on how
Just
you're
one
doing.
more,
Sure.
one more little thing. When I wake up in the morning and I'm where I need to be, and as stuff unfolds, I'm gonna when I don't need to do something that is self-protective, I'm gonna be keeping people up to date. So if they want to follow me on that, I'm gonna try and have my eyes on it and share what I'm picking up from where I am, with my abilities, and share that as it happens, and any footage or anything I can, or talk about it. I'll go live or whatever, whatever needs to be done.
All right.
I'll keep bringing that information in.
Well, Tim, we appreciate you being with us. Go get some sleep now, my friend. I know it's 4 o'clock in the morning there, mate.
Yep.
So get some rest. Yep. And our prayers are with you and your family and all the Australians who are dealing and facing this catastrophe of unparalleled events that's new and nobody knows how to deal with. But we do have the technology. We have cloud seeding, and we have Oregon technology. We have lots of ways to attract rain. You're right there on the coast, surrounded by this big ocean. It shouldn't be a problem. Plus, it's all, there's lots of it in the air. So, we can bring it out of the air and help to do that as well. So, Tim, take care. Good being with you, my friend. Hang in there. And to everybody, thank you for joining us. And we will bring more as we have more information on this. So, and that's it. So thanks everybody who's in the chat section. And this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report.